Thanks for popping by our virtual poster session today. I'm Heather Vahdat, and I'm the Executive Director of Male Contraceptive Initiative. And I wanted to tell you a little bit today about our ideation workshop that we conducted in July of 2019. This was an event that was born of the idea of wanting to identify and address some of the challenges that are unique to the non-hormonal reversible male contraceptive space. It's a space that is really underserved and underfunded, as you might imagine, as a smaller subset of the already underserved and underfunded space that is contraceptive product development at large. So we really started with this interest in applying human-centered design to bring the research community together with some experts from other areas of practice who had learnings to offer and interest in participating in this conversation. The workshop took place over a 3-day period in San Francisco and was facilitated by IDEO, which was an amazing opportunity for us. For those of you who may or may not be familiar with the human-centered design process, you can see Figure 1 provides an overview of the process and how you start with an empathy step or identifying your problems and then defining potential solutions. And then you go through an iterative process of this, convergence and divergence of ideas that allow you to ultimately come to a synthesis step where you have some prototypes of how to address your challenge at hand. So we dove right in on day one with this, and as you can see here, we talked about lots of different issues and who the key players were, including users, investors, environmental groups that we could reach out to, understanding how we can connect in new spaces, and then of course, product developers, pharmaceutical companies. But one of the really big outcomes from day one was the development of what you see here in Figure 2, which is the swirling vortex. So we started talking about the product development pipeline and the process, which is often displayed as a linear process. And right away, everybody was like, it's not like that. And there was a lot of people jumping up and, engaging with the boards right away saying, you have to go through this process a couple times, sometimes reformulation, or just really giving more of a sense of what that process feels and looks like other than the traditionally represented linear process. So I think one of our first big outcomes from this was the presentation of the swirling vortex model of product development that gives a little bit more of a perspective that this does take time. I think it's a helpful tool for fundraising and speaking to donors and investors that this process, it's not just a bunch of check boxes. Sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board and try again. So we hope that that's one tool that came out of this and that people find useful. So the second day, we jumped right in again and really started to prototype solutions to the issues that we identified early on. So you might imagine that, folks were talking about the downstream challenges associated with regulatory process. Funding always came up. It's always a big one. And so we really came down to these core concepts that you see presented here about communications and advocacy, product development, how we could learn from other areas and the history of contraceptive product development for our own case. The funding landscape, how can we diversify and grow into new areas and gain interest from new funders? And then some general operations needs that came up based on the fact that the community is really a broad representation of academia and individual organizations, and there's no real sort of central hub where folks can say, hey, we need market research or what have you. This is traditional research, so they're putting in grants for a bench research project that doesn't traditionally allow for that. So really demonstrating that there's a need for us at Male Contraceptive Initiative to perhaps provide a little bit more support in that space. Day 3, we jumped right in to define the needs, benefits, and offerings that the stakeholders that were present had to present to MCI, more as a means of informing MCI of what the larger needs are. So for instance, it was proposed as, what can MCI do to help you more? And part of that is knowing, what each individual stakeholder has to offer. So hey, we do really great work with medicinal chemistry, or we're really great with high throughput. So that all comes up to the top, and then we can build this more solid structure that allows us to work together to help build the efficiency and effectiveness of developing these products more quickly that we were all aiming for. Finally, fourth day was really the Male Contraceptive Initiative team and IDEO synthesizing the results of the 3 days. And it was so intense, as you can see in the picture that's presented here. There's a lot of information collected, sticky notes and thoughts, and just everybody was all in. And we're so grateful for that and appreciative. And really, we came up with 4 priority areas and 10 core needs. The 4 priority areas were connecting the researchers in the non-hormonal reversible male contraceptive space to their funders and investors, continuing to facilitate what became called team science over the course of this event, and establishing a shared vision, and then providing additional critical data that helps for male contraceptive advocacy. Again, things like market research data, user data, user input, which are things that MCI has already started to continue to build upon from the results of this event. As far as an outcome, we feel like we really were able to bring this community together and help them see for themselves how much they have to offer and how powerful they can be as a combined group. So Team Science now lives on, and we've really spent 2020 in light of COVID, as everybody else has, on Zoom calls, but we've developed the Lemonade Stand, which is our webinar series that provides details on specific topics like CMC. We've had one on that, chemistry, manufacturing, and controls, the regulatory process as it relates to contraceptive products, really trying to set it up as more of a Q&A instead of just a traditional talk at you kind of format. So we continue to build on this, and we invite you to join us. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm Heather at Male Contraceptive Initiative. You can find us on our website or any of the other contact information presented at the bottom of the poster. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the other posters as well as the sessions. Thanks.